Do you understand the implications of the wild horses on the Salt River?
I have seen them there. I've enjoyed visually looking at them and watching them run. I have no idea what they're doing. To me, I'm just an outsider that doesn't know any of the damage that they cause or anything. To me, it's a beautiful thing. So
J.K., would you
have to educate me on that.
educate Andrew here?
Yeah,
Why
absolutely.
can't my pretty horses be there?
Time to get schooled.
Who doesn't like horses? Do you have a school bell? Ding!
Okay, let's take an
It's in
overview of
session.
it. Probably 20 years ago, there were 4 to 8 horses. Okay, the Game and Fish Department did an aerial survey of the Salt River Basin right now, and that basically goes up not to Roosevelt, but prior to it, and through all the way to Swirl and through the res there at Fort McDowell.
Very familiar with that area.
Yeah.
I fished that as a kid,
Yeah.
and I remember watching the horses run across the.
Yeah.
Felipe and I would go out there and do some fishing, and horses were everywhere. They were beautiful. I thought it was part of a beautiful scenery for
It
me.
is. There's a couple problems though. Number one is now the survey counted over 400 horses.
So it went from 4 to 8 to 400.
Yeah.
430 was their aerial head count.
Yeah. So when you take a look at that, there's 3 things that horses do really well: eat, poop, and breed. And when they're doing that, there are endangered species. The desert is a real fragile ecosystem. There are things like the round-tailed chub, the desert willow flycatcher, desert tortoise. There's all kinds of other animals that are trying to exist. In Arizona, when we did all the impoundments, took out the natural riparian areas, the waterways. So we changed and we've altered based on what we needed as a society to have different land. And what's happened now is that when they drive other animals away, you're looking at horses that somebody wants to call them wild animals, and they're not. What they are is feral livestock. Well, Kelly Townsend, because of pressure from other people, helped pass a bill through the state legislature that instead, 2.5 years ago, the Tano decided they wanted to have a roundup because there were excess animals. You can only have so many. When the herd size doubles every 4 years, something has to give sooner or later. Otherwise, within our lifetime, we will see thousands of horses out there. And there's only so much food and water for them. What happens to the waterways when you have over 400 horses that are urinating and defecating into your water system every day? What does that do to the groundwaters? What does it do in terms of other wildlife? And what does it do to the vegetation and the riparian areas and the runoffs that you're supposed to have?
Yep.
You're making my horses not look so pretty anymore.
Well, next time you're on Swirl, pull into Butcher
I
Jones.
know exactly where you're talking. I actually heard a story where some kids had gotten sick because of all of the feces that was going into the water from the horses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But again, because I'm just an average angler out there, average guy, I don't know what the consequences are to having them there. As far as I'm concerned, well, they look pretty, they're nice, they're not hurting anybody. But because I'm away from that, they're not hurting me personally is what I'm saying.
Here's the interesting thing. Out of all the animals that we have in the state of Arizona, if you have cows, pigs, elk, deer, javelina, all of those are monitored and removed on a regular basis. Wild game is removed through hunting. You know, the Arizona Game and Fish Department knows what is an applicable amount of forage that each animal can sustain in that particular area. The only animal in our state that is not removed through hunting or culling by society is horses. And so consequently,
put the burros in there.
well, horses and birds.
Horses and
I'm considering the same thing, equine.
So what is the alternative if the horses?
Well,
if they
here's where it gets tricky. 80% of horse ownership in the United States is owned by women. Okay, which is a peaceful, loving, natured person, if you want to. We are hunter gatherers, okay, and they are the, for lack of a better term, the nurturing. And that's
I
a
love that
generic
about
statement.
We are erectus walk around as
I
carnivorous.
love that about the nurturing women, but where does that play into how with the horses? What needs to happen with the horses?
Women can't stand to see anything killed. And quite frankly, there are no longer any slaughterhouses in the United States. They were outlawed years ago.
Is that the only alternative? Is a slaughterhouse?
No, they've got over,
They have horse farms
over
right now.
50,000 head put up right now.
In horse hotels all across the Midwest.
That we, the taxpayers, are paying $70 to $75 million
Oh,
to house
it's 80
annually.
million. $80 million annually
Can
to keep them.
can these horses not be taken and utilized?
No,
It's
they
against
have
the law.
adoption. You can adopt a horse for $150, but you have to maintain it. You can't sell it. You can't do anything with it. It's your horse, and they do that. Unfortunately, there's only about 4,000 people who adopt annually, and there's more than that are coming into these horse hotels. We're paying for them to stay in big pastures in the Midwest, and China imports 500,000 tons of horse meat a year for consumption. It's a better meat for you to eat than beef.
Are we allowed to eat them?
Yeah,
No.
you
Not allowed to eat
can.
horses.
You can if it's your own horse and you do everything yourself. You can, but it is illegal now to take them to a slaughterhouse. You can't do anything. Nobody will process a horse. You have to do it yourself.
And the zoos. What's the deal with the zoos?
Oh, here's something fascinating. Zoos have found out that the big cats, lions and tigers and bears, they don't do well. Their digestive systems do not do well on beef. So they want to give them horses or zebras, which is what they're accustomed to on the African continent. So they're importing horse meat to feed their big cats in the United States from Canada and Europe.
Why are they importing them if we have them here?
Thank you.
You can't kill them here. You can't.
Huh.
You want to talk stupid? That's where it starts to begin.
Yep.
When-
Stupid
Sounds
is
like
as
a
stupid
lose-lose.
does.
I mean, you gotta monitor everything. There's got to be.
It's going to be a legislative process.
Unfortunately, the Western Caucus,
Yeah.
which is what we're talking about with Congressman Koleszar, they're recognizing it. There's more and more documentation that shows the damage that they're causing. The bad side is that the horse lovers are claiming that cattle ranchers shouldn't be out there because they're calling them welfare ranchers. But here's the key. These ranchers, cattle ranchers, they are the ones who go out and put in the water holes. They're the ones who move their cattle from range to range, from allotment, different pastures. They're the ones who put up
all habitat
T-posts and
management.
barbed wire to keep animals out for specific periods of time. And you're talking now over $25,000 per mile for a rancher to go and put in T-post and 3-strand barbed wire. That's not welfare ranching. That's guys barely making an existence. And they're telling families that have been doing this for over 150 years, you can't do this anymore because we want wild horses in there.
And the people that are telling them are the ones that are not impacted by this, correct? The ones
You
that,
got it.
You got it.
City
So
vote.
I'm not
left-wing
impacted by it.
Democrats, Andrew.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Impact for everything. For
Yeah,
every
you know,
action.
they somebody waved a magic wand, Governor Ducey, and they quit being feral livestock.
Now they're
became
authorized.
wildlife.
Yeah.
They're not wildlife. They're goddamn wild horses.